the director of Carl the Collector, I really spent a lot of time using my own personal experience as a mom of a neurodiverse child, as well as two neurotypical kids, and how they interact with each other to really, figure out the best way to convey autism to the audience and to people who may not understand what autism is. I was very excited. It was an autistic character. I had never seen anything like that before on TV, and then having that personal connection with my son, I thought, yes, we could do something really, really amazing here.
Yes, it's Carl, the Collector!
We knew we couldn't just treat him like your typical animated character, right? He's gonna have certain mannerisms, he's gonna speak a certain way, he's gonna do things that maybe are a little bit different than your ordinary cartoon character. So we had to work with the animation team to figure out how are we going to show stimming, for example. And stimming is when, the kids are overstimulated, they have to get some energy out, so they might wiggle their fingers, or they might pace, or, some autistic kids like to jump on a trampoline, for example. Working on Carl, I have to dive into my memories of my kids. When we had our son, our autistic son, he was a very I would say colicky baby, he cried a lot. He was always, it was very hard to soothe him. He was diagnosed when he was 12. So it was later, but it was a lot of advocating for him. There was a lot of researching and trying to figure out and calm him and say, look, it just means that your brain is wired differently. You're gonna process things differently, and we're gonna work together to try and make your life as fulfilling and tailored to you as possible. I'm not sure how I would have been able to do the job as director if I hadn't had my personal experience here, because it is such a nuanced and subtle thing that you almost have to know what you're looking for. So we work with some advisors from PBS, and that coupled with my own personal experience of, watching my son grow up and seeing the situations that puts him in an overwhelmed state or an excited state has really, really helped to kind of propel the visuals along and make it so that we can get that across to the audience on screen.
2 gallons of water, 1 cooler with 126 ice cubes, 1 pitcher, 481 grams of sugar, 20 lemons, 20 12-ounce cups, and 1 Sheldon.
Carl's friends are not all autistic. There's one other autistic character named Lotta, but we have Sheldon, who's his best friend, and we've got Forrest, and we've got the Bunny twins as well, and none of them, they're neurotypical. So seeing how they interact and maybe sometimes don't understand what's happening with Carl, why is he acting this way? I am able to pull memories from our own situation here at home and figure out, how best to show that in a visual way. We knew we had to represent autism in a way that was very respectful, and we didn't want to speak for autistic people at all. We wanted them to speak for themselves. So it was at that point where we made sure we had writers on the team that were autistic, and they were telling their own stories from their own points of view. And that was, that has given us some of the best episodes that we have. When we were seeking out voices for Carl and Lotta, we also wanted to make sure that we found some autistic children to play the autistic characters that we see on screen. The mom character, she's so supportive and tries really, really hard to help Carl through tough situations sometimes, but she also lets him figure things out on his own. And there are times where even she feels overwhelmed and doesn't quite know what she should be doing. And I like to show that part of the experience as well, because parents of autistic kids and neurodiverse kids in general, a lot of the time you're just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants. You don't know if you're doing the right thing. You hope you are, but it's just to kind of let them feel seen is another huge rewarding experience for me. With Carl the Collector, we really are hoping that the audience can watch it and not just be entertained, because it is a really fun and entertaining show. But we also really hope that neurodiverse kids can look at the show and either see themselves, figure out ways and strategies to help them get through certain situations. But we also really hope to help neurotypical kids understand what's happening with an autistic person and understand how they can be the best friend that they can be to their classmates who may be struggling or maybe need a little extra support. Finally, I just hope that parents can see themselves and feel represented and understand that they're not doing this alone, that there's a whole community of people out there who are going through the same thing that you are. I hope anybody that needs to see it gets to see it and feels like they're represented.